Okay, so oh, I should probably. Well, it doesn't really matter. Um, there you go. We'll do this, and then we'll do this, and then that this is proper now. So once again, this is what I think of the mix. I am super happy with it. I had a lot of fun making it. I had a lot of fun recording it, although it took me more tries than the other two, I think. But by the same token, it was also a more complex mix. Right, like I threw everything I had at this mix. I tried to have different transitions. I had, transitions in, transitions out. I tried to do different things with the transitions. I used I used the I used samples. I used the pads. I used loops. So I did everything I could with this mix. I played with the speed a lot, right? Going between take over control to girls first, going from something to wavy, but baseline to wavy, right? I like I said, I threw everything I could think of at this mix. I even used drums as a transition between Shadows and Serotonin, and I didn't even use drums as a song. It was just used as a transition point. So yeah, so I am as far as execution goes, it's not perfect. Okay, so there's two things. There's two things that I messed up. One of them is a bit more noticeable than the other. Maybe three things. What did I made some notes. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. So going in for some weird reason, I don't know why. When I was mixing in, going from function to cache. Anyway, my cat is now here to say to because I'm boring apparently. He's bored because I'm not spending time with him. I'm not. Uh, I'm not looking at him all the time now. Like I tried to pet him earlier and he didn't really want anything, but now he's had food and now he's dictating that he wants attention. Anyway, so this is why Catnip Sessions is the name of my is the name of my my mixes. So yeah, going from function to cache heavy. For some weird reason, I didn't move the EQ, the low EQ up on cache heavy, and so from point B all the way to bar, I think 41. There was no there was no bass. It was just mids and highs. Not so bad in here, although it is a little bit weaker. And then when I ended up mixing in function a bit, I'm like, why does this sound so weak? And I just noticed that I didn't have the bass in it. So I added the bass, but halfway through the song. So um, for some, yeah, I don't know why I missed that. I don't think it's that big of a deal unless you're paying attention. If you're just listening to it in the background or kind of enjoying the music, doing something else, then I don't think it's too noticeable. The mix into the going from this point with no bass to this point with bass is a bit jarring, but I'm gonna leave the mix that way. Everything else, and in low, for some dumb reason, I paused the song, but I paused the wrong song. I was supposed to pause Coming Home because it was going from Coming Home was being mixed out, but I pressed pause on low. It was only for like a quarter second, half second, and I was able to take it out in editing. I don't like doing that, but it's also I didn't really want to spend another hour and a half recording anything, and you're not likely to notice the issue unless you are really looking for it. The video shows me in a different spot, but if you're listening to it, especially if you're not like paying like intense attention to the song, you're probably not going to know where it happened. So I don't mind cutting it out because it's an easy fix and it's just a stupid error I did. It teaches me a lesson to not do that again, which I will do again. But so those are basically the two mistakes I did. Um, other than that, my I'm super happy with my execution. The using the samples is a bit tricky because it's only by ear. Starting the song, you play the sample. At the end of the sample, you start I started the next song. That timing isn't 100% perfect, but I'm okay with how that is. The idea was there. The execution was essentially good. Essentially not perfect, but essentially perfect. It the idea I wanted to come across. I want to do uh past, like, the idea of what I wanted is there, and it's good enough that you're not necessarily going to be super picky, or hopefully you're not going to be super picky and say, this is like a quarter beat too early or something like that. So yeah, so I'm happy with that. The couple other things that are a bit iffy, is that, first of all, this is a 2-channel mixer. I kind of wish I had a 4-channel mixer for this. If I had a 4-channel mixer, or even a 3-channel mixer, but they don't exist. But if I had a 4-channel mixer, like a 4-deck mixer, I would not have had these issues that I'm about to describe, because um, you can play more than 2 songs at once on a 4-channel mixer. So going from Take Over Control into Girls First, it was a loop that was playing over and over again, and I started Girl First, and I had to match. Actually, when I would Take Over Control, um, I boosted up the speed. Usually, what I do is I lowered the BPM of the incoming song to match the outgoing song, and then I move the speed up. But for Take Over Control and for baseline, it made more, and yeah, it made more sense to move the volume or the speed up, the BPM up. So the problem with that is that, especially with Take Over Control, it's just a very small sample, right? It's a very very short sample. It's a tick 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 tick. No, that's not what I want. It's this, right? That, when I was practicing, I was counting 16 beats, 32 beats, 48 beats, and I kind of forgot about that when I was mixing. I tried starting to count, but I just lost count. So the 32 beat rule for this, and for going into from shadows into serotonin, by using drums, and I think there's another one. No, I think that's it. Yeah, I think those are the 2 areas where I. Oh no, and then baseline into wavy. I think those are the 3 spots where I'm using loops that are important, that loops that have no reference to something else, right? So by that I mean, usually when you use loops, you have 2 songs playing at once, and then one loop plays over the other one, and it's easy to know when you finish that loop, because the end of the song happens or your mix out point happens, and so it's very easy to stop. With those 3 spots, Take Over Control and Girls First, yeah, I have to load a song while the loop is playing. I have to load a song. Same thing with when drums is playing. I have to load serotonin. I have to wait for shadows to finish and then load serotonin, and then baseline was just going faster. I think baseline is fine. I think the count in baseline is fine. I think it was an 8 count. And then I started wavy. So I think baseline was fine, but the 2 other ones I kind of lost count. So I don't know. It probably didn't follow the 32 beat rule. So that's another issue. I'm gonna give myself a pass on that, because the 2-channel mixer, and it's a really dumb way of mixing of mixing songs into one another. But I like the idea of it. I like the idea of what I did, and I'm like, this is kind of ambitious. It's kind of audacious, and I'm happy I tried it. And I think it worked fairly well. If you know the phrasing is bad overall, but that's a minor point. The low EQ miss on Cash Heavy is just mind boggling to me, and then the inattentive pause on low, um, is stupid. There's no excuse for that. It's just stupid. Luckily, I was able to fix it and not re-record everything, and I didn't need to re-record everything because, again, I'm extremely happy with how everything else went in the song. And the thing with Take Over Control into Girls First and from Shadows into Drums into Serotonin, I'm happy with what I did. I just don't know if it followed the phrasing, right? The 32 beat phrasing. So I'm happy with what I did. I'm proud of it. It's a kind of a stupid way of mixing in and out of song, mixing songs together, but I like what I did. I think I did well. It's just not, again, just not perfect. So, it's also like a really tough. It's also really tough. It was really difficult to do that on two decks, on two channels. Like I said, again, if it's 4 channel, you can just load in all the songs you want and then just have perfect phrasing. But the way I did it was kind of stupid, and like I said, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with how everything went. And so that little mistake at the end of or at the beginning of Low, I'm like, I'll see if I can fix it in post. I'm also happy I kept playing, even though I messed up Cash Heavy and I messed up Low. Um, there's sometimes where I have a small little screw up and I'm like, stop everything, start over. I didn't do that for those 2 times. I don't know why. I just wanted to keep playing, just because I think I was doing so well before and after. Um, that I'm like, I'm just gonna keep playing. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm just gonna keep playing. And Low is not really noticeable, and I think Cash Heavy's not too bad. I will consider it an artistic choice. How about that? It's an artistic choice to have no bass until bar 41 for some reason. But yeah, so uh, proud of it, happy with it. Um, like I said before, I threw everything I could at it. All my arsenal in my brain that I could imagine, I did. I'm proud of it. Like, the pad work is a bit sketchy, right? So in Serotonin and in Party All the Time, the pad work's a bit sketchy. It works. It works. I think it works fine. The idea of it works fine in Babylon, because I do bring in Babylon, and then so the issue is, I think the technology is not as responsive as I want it to be, and so probably didn't sound perfect, but I think it sounded as well as it can, considering the gear I have, um, and my brain. But other than that, yeah, the all the transitions I think worked. Well, okay, so I executed all the transitions the way I wanted to. So this is not the first time I'm recording this. I recorded this yesterday, right after finishing the mix, and in my video that I recorded yesterday, I'm like, I'm happy, blah 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 blah. I'm happy, whatever. But I'm gonna have to listen to the mix to see if I still feel the same way, and I will write stuff in the description as an update. And I'm like, this is the internet. Nobody cares about that. I'm just gonna wait a day, play, listen to the mix, and then put it up, because there's no way I was gonna put the mix, because I recorded the mix before. No, sorry, I recorded my thoughts on the mix before the mix was ready to put on YouTube. So, so I'm like, nobody. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna put the thoughts video before putting the mix up. So maybe let me just wait a day and listen to the mix, and then have a better idea of what I want. Having said that, I'm still gonna listen to it a couple more times, but I think the idea is that there are each transition works individually, right? Going from Proper Education to Babylon works. Going from Babylon to Tic Tac works. Going from Tic Tac to Rip is kind of cheesy, because that's the one that uses the Fun Factory sample. But the idea works. Every individual, but like um, sometimes I use a loop and it takes much longer, and then sometimes it's just like stop one song and start another song, and I think I'm gonna have to figure out when to do I think I'm gonna have to figure out a better way to transition if I'm gonna stop one song and start another one, within a mix versus mixing in longer, like with loops, because I think every transition works by itself, but when I listen to the mix itself, with like the entire mix, Some of the transitions were a bit weird, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way. Cause what was it rip into who's it? Rip into who's that? Yeah, rip into who's that seems like it's a bit abrupt. I probably could have waited a bit longer for rip to play out and then start who's that. The main issue is I didn't want to lose energy, and so if I waited till the end of rip, then it would kind of like lose some energy, and then the start of who's that kind of feels uneven. But so that's kind of like the thought process between, for example, just those two, for example. But then when you look at the entire mix in its entirety, entire mix, that's what that means. It's not, it doesn't work as well as I thought it would. So again, so the execution is fine. It's just the experience is not as smooth as it was in my head when I was thinking about the mix before I was recording it. But um I think that's a small. I don't know if that's a small detail. I think that's a small detail. I think again, I'm still happy with the mix. I'm still proud with the mix. This is just a. I think it's just an experience thing, right? I'm happy with the songs I picked. I'm happy with the song order. I'm happy with kind of like the rising and lower, like the rising and falling of the energy in the mix. It's just the individual transitions within the entire mix I have to think about now, right? Um, I think that's but yeah. So there's that. So a little bit again. So something else to think. Like something again. It's just experience. Um, I tried something and it may not have worked as well as I thought it would. But I think I was listening to the music when I was working, and so I wasn't like focusing my energy and my time, my attention all the time on the mix. And so it was fine. Like listening to, as I was doing work, listening to the mix was fine. The I yeah. I noticed the issue with Cash Heavy, the bass with Cash Heavy. I noticed that because I knew it was coming, but that little hiccup with low, I didn't even realize it happened. So I went back a couple times to listen through that area, and there's a tiny little pop, and I think that's not an issue with the song. That's an issue with how Premiere renders videos. But there's a tiny little pop where the mistake is. So I don't know if it's super noticeable. I didn't really notice it the first time, but when I was listening for it, I heard it. And again, it's just a tiny pop. If you're just not focusing on it, you're probably not going to notice it. But yeah, no, I like the song choice. I like the song order. I like the energy I have. Very happy with all of that. The Early on in the prep videos, prep streams, I wanted to do two things. One was use pads, and one was use loops a lot. I think my intention was to use pads more, and I wasn't really sure about loops. But what ended up happening is I used loops a lot more than pads. So yay, good for me. Um, I do so what I also, as I was listening to the mix, what I also realized is that I like it more when I'm mixing one song into another smoothly as opposed to like abrupt changes. And that's probably just because I'm not picking the right songs for the abrupt changes. It's also the another issue is that some songs have a really long tail end. Like Proper Education has a really long tail. Um, right? Because I start Babylon mixing here, and then around this area, this is where you start hearing the Babylon, like very low volume. Shadows, I also feel has a little bit of a longer tail. I start the drums sample here, and it lasts, was it 328 to, yeah, it's like 40 seconds, is a bit long. And I think there's another one. Was it All the Time? Maybe All the Time, because Oh no, this is fine. It's not the tail is not super long. I just have to wait till the very end of the song to that. Anyway, point is, some songs have really long tail ends. Some songs don't, and so and like I said, some of the in some songs I didn't want to lose the energy, and so I went for like a really really quick transition as opposed to a smooth transition. Uh, yeah, I will listen to the mix again and kind of learn from it and apply that for the next mix I'm going to make. But yeah, so like I said, I'm not going to spend 20 minutes. I wanted to the first video I made was 20 some odd minutes long, and I'm like, this time I'm not going to yap on for 20 minutes, which of course I did. So all of that to say, I'm very happy with the mix. I wanted to use pads. I wanted to use loops. I did that. I ended up using some samples a couple times. I'm very happy about that. I want to start. So the next thing I want to do is I want to keep using loops, keep using the pads. I want to improve the flow of transitions throughout the mix, right? Because I think, again, each transition works fine, but the flow of transitions through the mix, I think, needs a bit of work. So that's something else I want to work on. I also want to use um, samples like these between songs or within a song. The only issue is I have to figure out which samples to use, and I also have to tweak it in Ableton, just to cut out what I want and then just save that. And then like Ferrari here, the end of Ferrari, I had to tone down the low EQ a lot, like by a lot. So this sample takes out all the low EQ from the actual song, just because I otherwise Party All the Time didn't start properly. Like you didn't hear the song properly when it started. So using samples is nice, but but if I had a 4-channel mixer, I would not have to use the samples. I could just use the song itself as intended, as opposed to like doing that. So something else I want to do anyway. So all of that to say, something else I want to do is use more samples, either in songs or between songs. I kind of want to do more of shadows, like drums in as a transition between shadows and serotonin. I'm really happy the way I did that. Is just because it's kind of like the idea of using a sample, right? It's a part of a song. It's a song that I'm not going to use at all. It's just a piece of a song inside a mix between two other songs. So I want to start using that, doing that more. Maybe doing my own small edits on actual songs. I don't know how well that's going to work, but something else I want to do. Look, going, as a goal. So those are my goals. Edits, more samples, better flow of transitions, and keep doing loops, keep doing pads. So my next mix, I have a couple ideas. I'm not sure which one I'm going to go with, so I'm not really going to mention it now, but it's either going to be a nostalgia mix or like a super high BPM mix. So I'm not sure which one it's going to be. This should be one of those two. It's also not going to be as complex as this. It's going to be more of a like a jukebox style thing where play one song, play song one, mixing song two, take away song one, start song three, mix out song two, start song four, mix out song three. So it's going to be something like that, just because that's also good practice, right? Because it helps with song choice, song order, lowering and rising energy, helps with transitions, what type of transitions, the technical aspects of transition. So I always say that I don't want to just do that. I want to do more of this, which I absolutely do want to do more of this. I had so much fun. I did that to keep myself busy within songs, because there's a lot of times, especially in the first half, where I was mixing songs inside of other songs. Right, like I was mixing rip inside of inside a rip. I was mixing function inside of function. So I want to take over control inside of take over control. I want to start doing that. I want to maybe not do that exactly. Oh, and then Babylon I did the same thing, but it just gave me something to do inside the song while the song played. So I want I want to keep myself busy generally. So I absolutely want to do more of this. I'm just not sure how, but and that's a thing for that's a future Pat decision, future Pat problem. Yeah, so my next mix is going to be a very simple mix. Again, song one into song two, into song three, into song four. That kind of thing. But I think that's all I wanted to say. I've said way too much. I think that's everything I wanted to say. Um, I hope you like the mix. Let me know what you think, and I hope to see you soon in the next mix. Goodbye.